Hey, hey! Reb here. Rebecca. What? Just not Becky. And? Oh, was he licking his wiener? Albert. Hello. And Poppy. All right. So, to all of you 9 subscribers, thanks. And to the other 2 of you who might see it, thanks. So today I thought maybe we'd talk about Shawarma Plant. It's not shawarma, that's the food, and I know that. But it's close to the real name, and I don't know what the real name is because I didn't Google it, but I know it sounds like shawarma. So we'll call it holiday cactus. And my holiday cacti need a little work, and I have some that need to get planted up, so I thought, why not? And then I thought maybe, since I know I'm annoying, but my dogs are cool, you might want to hear their story. So we'll do it. And this one was kind of cool. This is a rescue plant. It's actually 2 rescue plants that I just got maybe 2 months ago. Someone on that Nextdoor app where people are always saying, oh, I need someone to cut my lawn, and oh, I saw a dog running loose. Someone told me that they had these 2 Christmas cactus that they didn't want anymore, and would I want them? And I'm like, heck yeah, I do. And so she dropped them off and said that she's had them for quite a long time, but that they hadn't bloomed in a couple of years. She said one was white and one was pink, and it's true. So they were a mess when I got them. She had never repotted them, so I totally cleaned them up, took tons of pieces off of them, took all the soil off, hosed them down with neem oil and stuff, repotted them, put them together, and within a month there were buds on both of them, and most of the pieces that I took off I put in water, and a bunch of them have roots. I actually gave a bunch of cuttings away, but I kept a few because there's some bare spots in here and I'm gonna pop them in. And then I have a couple of other ones that I want to put in soil today too. So I'm going to fill up these bare spots with some cuttings from it, and I'll tell you a little bit about the backstory on these little weirdos. All right. Oh, these are the little cuttings from this one. Some of them are shrivelly, which is why I had taken them off initially. So I don't know if they'll do okay or not. It's not like they're dehydrated since they're in water. But we'll see. If they don't go, they don't go. Alright, so I got Poppy first, so we'll go first on his story. Oh, there, I had a text, and I thought it was going to stop my camera again, but it didn't. That crazy noise was my bearded dragon Rainbow freaking out. I don't know. The vet told me I couldn't give her as many worms because she was obese, and ever since then she's been throwing a fit. She's lost weight though. She's not so curvy anymore. Alright, anyway, so Poppy came in to the shelter where I worked. I was the creative coordinator there. I did graphic design, photography, writing, basically PR. I did all the social media, that kind of stuff. And I went to photograph him to get him on the adoptable animal pages and stuff like that and try to promote him. and he was an asshole. And he was a biter, and he was a barker, and he was not friendly, but I was trying to take his picture, and usually I could get a good picture of any dog. I just had to play with them or whatever. I could not get a good picture of him. He was a jerk, and I did not like him. So he was not adoptable because of his behavior, and we decided to give him a chance and send him to prison, because they had a prison program where they went and lived with a prisoner who was specially trained and lived with them 24/7 and gave them, it smells weird. It smells like, something. So they train him, they live with him, socialize him, whatever. So we sent him up to prison. Well, anyway, his inmate's cellmate let him up on his top bunk of the cell, and in the middle of the night, he jumped off and landed on the hard cement floor in the cell, broke his legs straight in half, like right here, these little chicken bones. So we had to go get him in the middle of the night and bring him back. Took him to the emergency hospital, and the surgery that might have worked on his little chicken bones would have cost like, you know, $4,000 maybe. And the shelter is donor funded, sponsorship funded. There's no public money coming in or anything. So it was far out of the budget, especially for a little dog that was such a jerk. And so they decided to try and splint it, and they put a cast on and said we'd need to try to change the cast out once a week, because it's not like you can sling it and keep it immobile. So they tried that. They put a cast on, and I was a sucker because now he was hurt. So I fostered him. I brought him home. I carried him everywhere around the clock in a little sling. I was like Paris Hilton. I dressed him up. I blinged out his casts with rhinestones, and I painted them. And he had an ugly Christmas cast, and a New Year's cast, and a Packers cast. Anyway, 6 weeks later, neither bone healed at all, so he took the cast off, and it was like, bloop. So they ended up amputating his arm. And in that whole time of carrying him everywhere and taking him to work and taking him everywhere I went, I socialized him quite a bit, and he turned out to be a pretty darn cool dog. And he was a lot better behaved. He was also on a lot of drugs, so that probably made a difference. But anyway, I fell in love with him. There was no way I was giving him up. Before that, I always hated little dogs. I was a Mastiff girl. Pit Bulls are my favorite breed. And that's what I had had before, was Mastiff, Pit Bull, and now I had this tiny Trihuahua, a three-legged Chihuahua. Anyway, so now that's Poppy. And he's great, but he can still be a little ass. And then Albert came along. He was found on the side of the highway down south, and he and a little girl that looked just like him were found trying to survive in like a hollowed out air conditioning unit on the side of the highway. And she was in better condition than he was, because typically we think they were breeder dogs that were dumped after they were done with their breeding career. And she was in better shape, probably because they have to try to take care of the girl better, because she makes the babies. He just makes the spermies. And he was only like 2.6 pounds, and he didn't have any fur on his ears. The skin was all black and crusty. His fur all over his body was horrible. His teeth, the ones he still had, were black, and they like did this. He had holes rotted up through the roof of his mouth into his sinus cavities. They're called fistula, and gross infection was going up and down and up and down, so these infected bubbles would come out of his nose. So he was like horribly sick. So he came up, and he was too sick to have the dental work that he needed done to fix him, because he wouldn't have survived the anesthesia, plus he was way too small. So I fostered him until he was well enough to have surgery. And then he had his surgery, and he had to make enough weight to have the surgery, and that had to be 3 pounds. But normally, like, when a kitten hits 3 pounds, they can get fixed. But if neuter or a spay on a kitten when they're 3 pounds is like 15 minutes. His surgery took 3.5 hours, all of his dental work and fixing all of the issues up in his mouth. That night when I took him home, he almost died 2 times. Scared the crap out of me. After all of that, there was no way I was giving him up. So, also in that, when he came up, half of his jaw had completely rotted away by the time he got up here. So, he has only half a jaw and no teeth. He's very special. That's why he looks like this all the time. And why he does this, I don't know. But he does it all the time, so don't worry. It's just his thing. I like to think he's just headbanging to internal metal music all the time, and he's not just extra special. Ooh, that's squishy. So is that. That one's good. Alright, so I'm filling this all in here with these cuttings. I think we're about done. Oh. Having some problems. So that's all I have to say about that. You want to know about my other animals? I can tell you about my other animals. Why don't I tell you the story of my pit bull, Rolly? Because he was amazing. So Rolly was this really chubby, awesome pit bull mix. And he's been gone now for a little over a year, but it seems like yesterday. And I miss him like crazy still. And I don't know how it's possible he's gone that long. But he was a wild, crazy puppy when I met him. About like, oh, this one just won't stay in here. He was about 6 months old when I got him. And I lost him, he was 7 and a half. And he was on his way to a super high kill shelter in Minneapolis by someone I was with at the time. Had found him as a stray and didn't train him at all, didn't take care of him. But when I came into their life, I was like, no, please don't take that dog there, let me work with him, because he just needs some training. And I wasn't working at the time because my epilepsy was out of hand, so I had a whole lot of time on my hands. So we went on like 14, 15 mile hikes every day and worked on his behavior and all of that kind of stuff, and turned him around that way. But because we were spending so much time together and bonded so much, he started to be able to tell when I was going to have a seizure. So he and I were tight. And yeah, that boy, I loved him. Now, he was not perfect because he did not like other dogs, although he did really well with Poppy. And when Rolly died, Poppy was so depressed for a week to 2 weeks that I was truly scared he was going to die of grief. I think Poppy was at least as sad as I was. I had heard about dogs grieving, of course, because I worked in animal welfare, I worked in vet clinics, I knew animals, and I'd heard it, but I had never experienced it firsthand. And I have never seen a dog grieve in person. That was crazy. Okay, so that was enough sad stuff for there. Alright, I planted all of these little cuttings. Now let's get this plant some water. All the cuttings are now going to fall over. And hopefully they'll take. I don't know. They're not falling over yet. But the plant needs water. How do I know it needs water? Because they're a little shrivelly. And I shouldn't have let it get real shrivelly because it's blooming. But right now, everything is drying out more than twice as fast as usual because the heat's on. And everything is so dry here in Wisconsin when it's cold and the heat's on. That's done. Oh, it's really heavy. Okay, so I'll show you these. This one, I love it because probably 14, 15 months ago I got it and it was only 2 sections big. And isn't it cute? And it was blooming when it was like 2 sections big, so I think that's so neat. That's why I love these things. They get big so fast. Look. See? Okay. And then I just got these 2 cuttings from someone in a plant swap. And look at that. Blooming. Well, you know, not yet. Buds. Bud. Okay, so then I have to plant these 3 things over here. I got these from this killer greenhouse in town. It's called Water Farms, and he's amazing. What is going on over here? That's not pretty. Not that any of this is pretty. Anyway, he's amazing, and I should ask him if he'd let me do like a greenhouse tour there or something. Anyway, I'm not going to make you sit around and watch me repot these because I have nothing else to talk about. Is he licking his penis? No, he is licking Poppy. He's licked bald spots on Poppy's head. Poppy has old man bald pattern on his head because Albert licks him nonstop and has licked a huge bald spot here and a huge bald spot here on Poppy's head. Huge. I'll show you. Oh, come here. Did you just get a good look at my huge ass? That was kind of rude of me. Look. Can you see his bald spots? Oh, no, I don't think you can see them. Poppy, look. Whoa, come on. Can you see that there's no fur here? It doesn't really show up. Look this way, Poppy. No. Oh, he also doesn't have any fur on his belly. Can you see that? When they shaved him for his surgery, none of the hair grew back. But, there, you can kind of see. He doesn't have any fur here. Albert licked it off. But he's half hairless too. He's a half-hairless Trihuahua. Okay, ready? Whoa. All right, thanks for hanging out. We will see you next time. Have a plantastic day. Bye.